Today we're making a two-tone raglan sweater. I'll be using Wool Ease yarn in the colors Forest Green Heather and Natural Heather. And this is a medium or number 4 weight yarn, and it's part acrylic, part wool. I'll also be using a 6mm hook, some scissors, and a yarn needle. We're going to start with the color that we want for the top, and mine will be green. And we're going to make a slip knot. So to make a slip knot, place the yarn over the palm of your hand with the tail end at the bottom. Hold it down with your left thumb, and you should have at least a few inches here. Then wrap the top around 2 fingers to form an X and hold it with your pinky. Then use your hook, go under one side of the X, over and grab the other side, pull it through, remove your fingers, and tighten the knot. So here's our slip knot, and now we can start chaining. So to chain, yarn over and pull through the loop on your hook. And here's our first chain. Again, yarn over and pull through the loop on your hook. And we're going to continue chaining until we reach the length of the neckline that we want. So this is including the neckline at your front and the neckline at your back and over your shoulders. So this is basically the hole where your head comes through. But this is without the ribbing, so we're going to make it a little larger than we want the neck hole to be. And then when we add the ribbing, it'll close it up a little bit more. So since we're making a square yoke, you want to make sure that the number that you chain is a multiple of 4. So here I've chained 100 and it's about 60 centimeters long. And we're going to connect the ends together. First, you want to make sure that your chain is facing the right way, and we're going to go all the way down to the first chain we made, making sure that the chain isn't twisting. Once you reach your first chain and it's completely untwisted, we're going to rotate it like this, clockwise. And then we're going to slip stitch to the first chain we made by going into the V, and we're going under the 2 loops. So we leave 1 at the bottom, 2 at the top. And then we're going to pick up our yarn over, pull through the loop on your hook, and tighten it. And that's a slip stitch. And we connected the ends of the chain together, and now we can start round 1. So to start round 1, we're going to chain 2. Take the number of chains that you made, mine was 100, and divide it by 4. So that gives me 25. So that means there will be 25 stitches on each side of the square. And in each corner, we're going to chain 1. So first, let's start with our first side of the square. We're going to double crochet in that same chain that we just slip stitched to. So to double crochet, yarn over, insert your hook into that same space, yarn over, pull through. Now you should have 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. That's our first double crochet, and now we can move on to the next chain. And we're going to yarn over, insert your hook into the chain, and make sure you get under the 2 loops. So through the V, under the 2 loops, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. So we're going to continue double crocheting across until we have a total of 25 double crochets. So once we have 25 double crochets, then we finished one side of our square, and now we need to make the corner. So in the corner, we're going to chain 1, and then we're going to start the next side of the square. So in the next chain, we'll do a double crochet, and then we're going to do 24 more double crochets until we have a total of 25. So now that we've done 25 more double crochets after our chain 1, we're going to make another corner by chaining 1. And in the next chain over, we're going to do a double crochet and then 24 more for a total of 25. And once we do 25, we're going to chain 1 for the next corner and then double crochet 25, and we should reach the start of the round. And make sure that you don't miss the very last chain right here. So you can see that there's a gap between my last and my first double crochet, and there's a chain here. And now there's no gap. And you should have 25 double crochets in each side. And then we're going to chain 1 to form our very last corner. And then we'll slip stitch to the first stitch of the round. So here's our chain 2, and here's our first stitch. And at the top you can see this V, and we're going to go under that V, yarn over, pull through, and pull through the loop on our hook and tighten it. So here's our last corner. And we're going to slip stitch to close off the round at the end of every round. And to start every new round, we're going to chain 2. And turn. And for the yoke, we're going to put our very first double crochet into the chain 1 space. So we'll yarn over and insert our hook into this space and complete our double crochet. And then we're going to continue working along the side of the square and just put double crochets along the side. So here is our first stitch, and we're going to go in from the side and under this V at the top of each stitch. And we're just going to put double crochets in every stitch. And make sure that you don't miss the last double crochet along the side. And once we've gone all the way across one side, we're going to end up at this chain 1 space from last round. And in every chain 1 space, we're going to put a double crochet, chain 1, double crochet. And then we're going to continue working along the next side. And once we've worked across another side, we're going to end up at the chain 1 space, and we're going to do a double crochet, chain 1, double crochet. And then we're going to continue working along the next side. And at this point, your corners should be a little more pronounced. You can see that it's sort of forming into a square, and there's a corner here, here with my chain 1 spaces, and here with these chain 1 spaces. And we're going to continue double crocheting across the side, and in the chain 1 space, we'll do a double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, then work along the last side in this very last chain 1 space. I'll show you how to do that. And once we've double crocheted across the last side, we're going to reach the last chain 1 space. And if you remember from the start of the round, we already put 1 double crochet into here. We're going to complete it because each chain 1 space should have a double crochet, chain 1, double crochet. So now we need to add in a double crochet and a chain 1. And then we're going to close this round by slip stitching to that first stitch. So again, here is our chain 2, and then our stitch, and at the top there's a V, and we'll go under that V, yarn over, pull through, and pull through the loop on our hook, and tighten it. And now we're going to repeat round 2 to increase the size of our sweater. So again, to start the next round, we're going to chain 2, and turn. And remember, our first double crochet will go into the chain 1 space from last round. So we're going to put a double crochet into there, And then we're going to start working along the side. And again, we're just going to repeat round 2. We're going to double crochet across the side, and then in the corner we'll do a double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, go along the side, and in the corner we'll double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, then do that all the way around. And again, at the end of every round, we're going to complete the chain 1 space with a double crochet, chain 1, and slip stitch. And we'll start every new round with a chain 2, turn, double crochet in the chain 1 space, then continue double crocheting along the side of the square. And we're going to continue these rounds until the size is big enough, and this is when you put it on, so your neck goes through this hole, and you put it on and the bottom of this will reach a few centimeters past your underarms. So this is where you want your sleeves to start, and you don't want them to be too high up or too low. Just a few centimeters is a good place to stop. So here I've done 15 rounds, and since I started with 25 double crochets in each side of the square, and I did 15 rounds, and each round I added 2 extra stitches, I have 53 double crochets on each side of my square now. And if you want to make sure that all sides of your square are even, just count the stitches and make sure they're all the same. And each side of my square is about 37 centimeters. And this is important because you want to figure out how much wider you need it to be. Now we're going to split this square into the 4 sections for each sleeve and each panel. So after our last slip stitch of the round, we're going to chain 2 and turn. And then our first stitch is going to go into the chain 1 space from last round. And then we're going to work along the square like we've been doing. So I've done 1 double crochet in this corner space, then across the side of the square, and then we'll also put another double crochet into this corner space. And then we're going to chain the extra width that we need for our sweater. So when you put this over your head and you can hold the 2 corners together like that, and there's enough room for your arm and your body, then you don't need to do any chains. But if you do need extra room, just chain the extra width that you need. So I'm going to do 4 chains. And keep in mind that this length will be added to the sleeve, but since we're doing it to the other side as well, double this length will be added to the body. This should be enough extra width for me. And then we're going to skip the next side of the square. And in this corner space, we'll put a double crochet. And then this should be enough space for your arm. And that also adds extra space for your body. And now we're going to double crochet along this next side of the square. So we already have 1 in the chain space, and we're going to start working along the side, putting our last double crochet into the next chain space. And then we'll chain 4 again. And then we'll skip the next side of the square and slip stitch to the first stitch of the round. And then we're going to work on this sleeve here. We're going to turn. So we have our chain here. We're going to do slip stitches until we reach the middle of the chain. And since I did 4 chains, I'm going to do 2 slip stitches. So go into that first chain, yarn over, pull through, and pull through the loop on your hook. And make sure you keep that slip stitch loose because we're going to work into that later on. And then I'm going to do a slip stitch in the next chain. So insert your hook into the next chain, yarn over, pull through, and pull through the loop on your hook. And then I'm going to start working my first round. And I'm going to put one decrease in every other round, and that's going to make the sleeve smaller and smaller. But if you want it to start decreasing later, then you can add a few rounds without decreases. So to start our round, as always, we're going to chain 2. But we're not going to turn since we already turned before our 2 slip stitches. And now we'll double crochet into the 3rd chain. So yarn over, insert your hook into that chain, complete your double crochet, and then we'll do a double crochet into the next chain as well. And we're going to work on the last 2 chains once we get to the end of this round. And now we should have reached the side of the round where we split the yoke. And we're going to do a decrease across the side. So first we're going to yarn over. We're going to insert our hook into this space here. Yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. And then we're going to yarn over, insert our hook into this next space here. Yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, and yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. And then we should reach the chain 1 space. And we're going to do a double crochet into this chain 1 space. And then here are our regular stitches that we're just going to be working into. And we're going to work halfway around until we reach the top of the shoulder here. And once we're here, we're going to do a decrease. So once we've double crocheted along half of the sleeve, at the top here, we're going to do a decrease. So to do a decrease, we're going to yarn over, insert our hook into the next stitch, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. So we're basically doing a double crochet, but we stop once we have 2 loops. And then we're going to yarn over, start another double crochet in the next stitch, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, and we should have 3 loops left, and we're going to yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. So that's a decrease, and we're going to do this every time we reach the top of the shoulder, every other round. So if you fold it like this, it should be right here. And it doesn't have to be perfect, just somewhere along this line. And then we're going to continue double crocheting across the rest of the sleeve. And after our decrease, we went the rest of the way along the sleeve. And we should reach another chain 1 space here, and we're going to put another double crochet. And then here's the round where we split the yoke, and we're going to put a decrease again into the side. And this side has the chain 2, so we're just going to go around the chain 2 instead of the double crochet. So I'm just putting my decrease along the side. And then we should reach the 2 slip stitches we did in the very beginning. And we're going to do a double crochet into each slip stitch. There are my 2 double crochets along my slip stitches, and then I'm going to slip stitch to the first stitch of the round. And then we're going to chain 2 and turn. In this round, I'm just going to do a double crochet into every stitch. So I'm only going to decrease in every other round. But if you want the end of your sleeve to be even smaller, you can decrease every round. After we do a regular round with no decreases, the next round will be a decrease round, and we'll put our decrease halfway around at the top of the sleeve. So again, we'll chain 2 and turn, and we'll do double crochets until we reach this point up here. And we'll just do 1 decrease, then finish the round. And we're just going to continue with this pattern of a decrease round, and then no decreases, then a decrease, then no decreases. And we're going to keep going until it's long enough to reach around our wrist. Or if you want, you can change the length of the sleeve to be up here before you start the ribbing, or even longer if you want an extra long sleeve. So I've gone and done 38 total rounds for my sleeve, and it looks like this. Since we alternated rounds of decreasing, it's decreasing pretty slowly, but if you want it to decrease even more, like a little faster, like this instead, you can do a decrease every round. And if you want it to decrease even slower, you can space out the decrease rounds even more by putting 2 rounds of regular double crochets. Now we're going to start the ribbing. And before you start the ribbing, you have to make sure that you have an even number of stitches in the last round that you did. So for me, it works out that I have 40 stitches in my 38th round. And since it's even, I can start the ribbing. So to start the ribbing, we're going to chain 2 and turn. And then we're going to do a front post double crochet around the first stitch. So here is the first stitch, and you can see the post of the double crochet here. And instead of working into the stitch at the top, we're going to work around this post. So front post means we're going to go in from the front. So yarn over, go in from the front and around that post, and then out the other side. Then we'll yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through, 2 loops, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. So it's a double crochet that we put around the post instead of in the stitch. And next we're going to do a back post double crochet, which means we're going to go in from the back. So yarn over, go in from the back and around the next post, and then out the back again. We'll yarn over, pull through, then yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. So there's our front post and then our back post. And then we'll repeat those 2 stitches. So we'll work around the next post with a front post double crochet. So again, yarn over, go in from the front, and then out back through the front on the other side of the post. Yarn over, pull through, and complete our double crochet. And then finally, again, how to do the back post. We're going to yarn over, go in from the back, around the post, then out the back. And if you turn it around, you can see the post. Yarn over, pull through, then complete our double crochet. And then we're just going to repeat that all the way around. Front post double crochet, back post double crochet. And if you reach a stitch where you did a decrease, you'll see that it has 2 posts, but we're going to count it as 1, and we're going to wrap around the whole thing. So if you do a front post, it'll be like this. If you do a back, it'll be like this. And we'll go around both posts because it still counts as 1 stitch. And as long as your last round had an even number of stitches, your last stitch should be a back post double crochet. And then we're going to slip stitch to the first stitch. And we're going to repeat that round. So chain 2 and turn. And we're going to do a front post double crochet first, and then a back post. And it's a little hard to see, but if you open it up like that, you can see it a little better. And then back to a front post, and then a back post. And we're going to do that all the way around, and we're going to repeat this same round again and again until we have the length of the ribbing that we want. So it looks like this, and you can continue for as long as you want the ribbing. So I did 3 rounds of ribbing, and here's how it looks. If you're happy with the length, you can fasten off. So after our slip stitch, we're going to chain 1, and we're going to cut our yarn, and mine's already pretty short, so after you cut your yarn a few inches, this much is all you need, we're going to pull on our hook and pull it through, and then we'll weave this in later. So after we finish one sleeve, we're going to work on the next sleeve and make it identical. And we're going to attach it to the middle of the chain on the other side so that the seam is on the underside of the arm. So I already did my second sleeve and forgot to film it, but I'll still show you how to attach your yarn. It'll just be upside down. So grab your yarn and make a slip knot. So place it over the palm of your hand with the tail end at the bottom. Wrap it around 2 fingers to form an X. Hold it with your pinky and go under one side of the X with your hook. Then go over and grab the other side and pull it through. And then we're going to go to this chain here and we're going to attach it to the middle. So I've already done that, but I'm going to show you how to do it on the opposite side of the chain, but it's the same thing, just turn it around the other way. So this is upside down. You want to turn it this way so it goes out the direction of the sleeve you want it to go. But after you do your slip knot, we're going to go into the second chain and then yarn over and pull through the loop on your hook, and that just attaches your yarn. And then you can chain 2 and do your double crochet into that same chain and just continue working those same exact rounds as your first sleeve. But again, you do it this direction in the middle of the chain. And once you finish your 2 sleeves, we're going to work on the neck ribbing. We're going to need to attach our yarn to the corner where we had our seam. So that's this one where we have our loose end. So I'm going to flip it and we're going to attach our yarn to the stitch to the right of the chain 1 space. So this one here. So again, to attach our yarn, we're going to make a slip knot. And then since we're attaching it to the double crochet to the right of the chain space, we're going to go into the chain that this stitch is placed into. So that's at the top. Right here, it's just a loop. We're going to go under that loop. And then we're going to yarn over, pull through that loop and the loop on our hook. And then we can tighten it. And then we're going to do the same ribbing we did for the sleeves. We're going to do the front post, back post, double crochets. So we'll chain 2. And in the corners, it's going to be a little bit different. We're going to do a front post double crochet 2 together. So instead of going around just one stitch, we're going to combine these 2 stitches next to the chain 1 space. So we're going to yarn over and we're going to go around this whole post and make sure you go around the chain 2 here. So around the whole thing, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. And then we're going to stop and start another front post double crochet around the stitch to the left of the chain 1 space. So yarn over, going from the front and around the next post, yarn over, pull through 2. Then you should have 3 loops on your hook, and we're going to yarn over, pull through all 3 loops. So that combines those 2 stitches, one on the right and one on the left of the chain 1 space, into 1 stitch. And then we're going to start working along this side, and we're going to do a back post double crochet and then a front post double crochet, and then we'll just repeat back in front and back in front. So once we reach the next chain 1 space, we're going to do another decrease, and we're leaving the 2 double crochets to the left and right of the chain 1 space. And since my last stitch was a back post double crochet, this decrease will be made with a front post double crochet. So again, we're going to yarn over, go in from the front around the first post, yarn over, pull through 2, then yarn over, go in from the front and around the next post, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops. And it should look like that. Then we'll continue the pattern with a back post double crochet, then a front post, and we're going to repeat this pattern all the way around, including the decreases in the corners. So once you get to the end, you should always end with a back post double crochet, and then we're going to slip stitch. And if you want to do more rounds of ribbing, chain 2, turn, and now we'll repeat the front post and back post double crochets. And once we get to the corner, we're going to go around the entire decrease like that. So around the 2 posts. So once you're happy with the length of the ribbing, we can fasten off. And I did 3 rounds for my collar ribbing. So to fasten off, chain 1 and cut your yarn a few inches and pull through with your hook. And here's how my sweater is looking so far. Now we're going to work on the body part of the sweater, and I'm going to change my yarn to this cream color, and we're going to attach our yarn to one of these sides. So again, make a slip knot. And then we need to decide on which direction we're working in. So if you look at the last round we've done, it's front facing. So all of these double crochets in this last round are facing the right way. That means we need to turn it like this, and we need to attach our yarn and work from the inside. And we're going to go to one of the chains that we did on the side, and I'm going to attach my yarn to this chain in the middle. So insert my hook into that chain, yarn over, and pull through both loops and tighten. And then I'm going to chain 2, and I decided not to do any decreases for this body portion. If you wanted to taper in and get smaller lower down, then you can add decreases on the left and right sides. So we're just going to double crochet all the way around, slip stitch, chain 2, turn, double crochet all the way around. And we're going to do that until we get the length of the sweater that we want. So here I've done 20 rounds of just regular double crochets, and I'm going to start the ribbing. So again, we're going to chain 2 and turn, and then front post double crochet, and then back post double crochet, and repeat the front post and back post all the way around. So I did 3 rounds of ribbing again, and then I'm going to slip stitch, and now I'm going to fasten off. So chain 1 and cut my yarn a few inches, pull through with my hook, and tighten the knot. And here's how the bottom of the sweater looks. So this will be the outside of my sweater, and what we're going to do now is weave in all of our loose ends. And before I do that, I'm going to pull all of them into the inside of the sweater. First, I'm going to make sure that they're knotted. If you can pull them and the stitches move, you should fasten them with a double knot. And then I'm going to pull it to the inside of the sweater using my hook. And I'll do the same over here. Tie a double knot. And then pull it to the inside of the sweater. So I'm just going to do that to every loose end on the outside, and then we can weave them in. So once we have all of our loose ends on the inside of the sweater, we're going to turn it inside out so we can weave them in. And let's take this loose end and weave it in. So we'll thread it into our needle. And then we're going to go under the stitches in the row. And we'll go a few inches across. And then we can pull the yarn through. And then we're going to move to a different row. So we can go up to this next row. And then we'll go in the opposite direction. So back towards the right, under the stitches. And then we'll pull the yarn through. And then we can go back to our starting point and go back under those same stitches. And since I have a little bit of yarn left, I'm just going to go as far down as I can. And pull the yarn through. And if you have any extra, you can just cut that off. And we're going to do that to every one of our loose ends all over the sweater. Once we finish weaving all of our loose ends, we're done with our sweater. And here's how the sweater looks from the front. And here's the back. And here's the side. Well, that's all for this video. I hope you all enjoyed this tutorial, and if you did, please leave a like, subscribe, and comment, and let me know if you have any questions. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.